Hi guys, this is Joe here from Rufioh, bringing you another deck profile. This is one of my kind of original decks from when I came back to the game. I came back at the tail end of 2017, and I wanted some cool new decks to play. I was still really into Lightsworn, and at the time, I wanted to take it up a notch. The JY style deck had gotten hit pretty badly. In the sort of run up to this, and what I wanted to do was play something a little bit different and go for the rank spam. Now, with the help of some of the other tuggers, we came up with a really cool build at the time to take to my first ever regional, and ever since then I've really loved this style of deck, this just spamming out level 4 and going into rank 4 plays. Now, I've tried to update it so it's a bit more budget friendly, and just to give you some ideas of different options, so that's what you'll see in the side deck, and we'll discuss those in a moment. And really this is mostly just kind of budget friendly altogether, I guess. It's good fun to play. It's not super competitive, but it is a good just sort of fun, speedy deck to play. If you don't want to spend too much time grinding out games, this is the kind of deck that you want to play. So we'll talk through the options. Like I say, the focus is generally speaking on Lightsworn going into rank spam, but there are tons of different variations of the deck that you could try out that I've played myself in different incarnations. Now, it's important to remember that when I was last playing this, Fairy Tale Snow was a thing, and that's certainly taken down the ceiling of which the deck is capable of reaching. However, it is still a ton of fun to play. So we'll get stuck in, and we'll start by looking at the Lightsworn monsters. So we've got 1, 2, 3 copies of Wolf. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a free level 4 on board when it gets milled. Yeah, just a really strong monster, and any Lightsworn based deck should be running it. We've got triple copies of Raiden. Milling 2 is pretty nice when he's summoned. He's a tuner, which is pretty cool. He's a warrior, so he can be searched. He's a tuner, so that obviously has its own benefits. He's light type, so it helps you go into Curious. It's just a really solid, all-around good card. Probably one of your best normal summons in the deck. We have 1 copy of Lila. This is just for breaking a bit of back row. There isn't really many removal options main decked in here, so this just gives you an option. And again, just being a spellcaster gives you a different option going into Curious. We have 2 copies of Felice. I feel that 3 is just a bit too bricky. 2 is perfect. Obviously, you don't get it if it's sent off a spell effect, or such as Charge of Light Brigade, that kind of thing. So you don't really want to mill it off those, but anything else it's absolutely fine. And of course, it can be specialed from hand by other card effects and that kind of thing. So that's absolutely fine. 2 of these are just really good. It helps you pop. It's a tuner, and of course, it's level 4 again. And being Beast Warrior, it just helps with Curious. We have triple copies of Lumina. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. Again, just gets 3 bodies on board. Although it goes against the grain a little bit by being level 3 rather than level 4. It does help you flood the field a little bit and just build up your plays from there. Maybe going into some link plays and then bringing out some rank 4s from there on. We have triple copies of Photon Thrasher. It's a warrior that can be searched off Rota. It's a free body on board if you don't control any other monsters. It just helps you enable. I mean, if you see this in your opening hand, you're basically making a rank play. Much the same with Goblinberg. It just basically is a rank 4 each time you see it in your hand, which is really nice. And of course, again, it can be searched off Rota, so it always gives you an option. It's better in later game than Photon Thrasher is for obvious reasons, but they're both still pretty solid. We have 1 copy of Thousand Blades. This is to go with your Trick Clown, basically. Again, if this goes to grave and Thousand Blades is already in there, you're going to get a free rank 4, which is just really nice. Being a warrior, I mean, I guess you could rotor it, but you probably won't. Trick Clown, again, as we just discussed, it's a free body on board. It's going to help you go into your rank plays, which is really nice. And being a light, of course, it's going to help you go into your Curious plays and that kind of thing. We have 2 copies of Damage Juggler. Again, it just gives you a whole bunch of different plays you can go through. Helps you search other level 4s, which are going to help you go into your plays. It helps you receive less battle damage, that kind of thing. It's just a really nice card to have. And at 2, it's really helpful. We only had it at 1 the last time round, I believe. We have triple copies of Performage Hat Tricker. This can be searched off your Trick Clown. Sorry, not your Trick Clown, your Damage Juggler. And it's just a free body on board. If there's 2 more monsters on the field, that's either side of the field, you can special summon it. So it's going to help you go into loads of those rank plays. It does also help you protect yourself against burn, but that's kind of a side effect that doesn't really come up very often. We have one copy of Darkworm. If you mill it into the grave turn 1 or early in the game, or you can send it off Foolish, it's just a free body on board. Pretty self-explanatory. Much the same with Zephyros, you want to just dump it into the grave as quickly as possible, and it will give you a free level 4 on board, which is going to help you go into those rank plays just by returning one card on your side of the field to your hand. You take 400 damage, but no one really cares. We have one copy of Electromagnetic Tile. This was close to not coming in, but I remember this just being so good when I was playing it. I mean, it is a couple of years ago now, so it probably isn't as effective as it was, but it's just really nice to mill this, because people don't really pay attention. They think they've got you for game, and then you can just banish this, and yeah, you end the battle phase, so that's pretty cool. And again, just being a light machine, it gives you more options. If you can summon this with something else, you can maybe make curious plays. And finally, we have Glowup Bulb. The intention of this is that it can make you Nap Beast during turn 1, underneath maybe a synchro with like a rank 4, underneath a link with a rank 4 or something like that, but it just gives you options, and if nothing else, it's just free link fodder. We have one copy of Double or Nothing. Just OTKing your opponent is, well, fun, and of course you don't want more than one copy. You don't really want to see it in your hand, but it is what it is. We have triple copies of Solar Recharge. This is obviously just going to get your engine going. Pitch in cards that are bricks, such as Wolf and Felice. Draw 2, mill 2 is really, really nice. We've got Charged Light Brigade. I'm not really sure what else you want me to say on this. It's mill 3 for cost, which is really, really nice, and then it searches your Lightsworn, so it's absolutely insane, especially in this deck. You've got one copy of Rota. Any deck that's running multiple warriors should be running this card. We have triple copies of Call by the Grave. This is just going to help set up and protect your plays. Going first is going to protect you against hand traps. Going second is going to help you pushing into your opponent's board and that kind of thing. And later on in the game, it can remove key pieces from their grave and just kind of help you move along. We have one copy of Foolish Burial. Absolutely insane. Pretty self-explanatory. Dump anything you like into the grave, monster-wise, and just set up your plays from there. And then one copy of Monster Reborn. Just again, it's going to help you get an extra body on board. It's going to help you go into those rank 4 plays. We then look at the extra deck. So this is kind of an idealistic. There's a lot of things that you could change in here. You could probably take some less budget-friendly options. You could probably take some more budget-friendly options. It just really depends on what you want to play. I've included what I think are the most effective rank 4s for this kind of format. However, you can chop and change these as you wish or as your budget dictates. We start off with one copy of Curious. I think it's just pretty much self-explanatory. Any Lightsworn deck should be running this. It's just going to dump anything. Really, really good with this is when you can dump stuff like Bulb, and then you get to mill 3, and then you can smash someone like a Hat Tricker underneath, bring back the Bulb, and you've got yourself your Nap Beast. That kind of thing is really, really good for. Slightly less effective in this format to go for that play because we don't have Snow, but it's still really, really strong. We have one copy of Decoy Talker. Just does 2 good arrows. It becomes a bit of a beat stick. It's got protection effects on board. Not much else really to add to that. We've got Trisbania because you really don't have too much back row removal in the deck. So being able to deal with problematic boards that set up a ton of back rows, such as Striker, Altergeist, that kind of thing, this is just going to help you play through those boards. We have one copy of Underclock Taker just to try and help us OTK or push for damage. It can also be a means to an end in terms of just link climbing, that kind of thing. We have 2 copies of Minerva. I think 2 is perfect. 1 is just too few. 3 is way too many. You'll never need the 3rd. This card's dumb. Obviously, you're going to mill cards and try and draw. A good portion of your monsters, I think 12 off the top of my head, are Lightsworn out of 42. So you've got 1 in 4 chance of milling after you draw your hand, 1 in 3. So you've got a good chance you're going to mill something and get some draws. And of course, blowing up cards in the field when it gets destroyed is really, really nice. And absolutely worst case scenario, you can use it for curious material. We have one copy of Abyss Dweller. This is just really strong again in the format. Switching off people's grave access is just really nice. We have one copy of Daigusto Emerald. This is one of these less budget-friendly cards that I was discussing. But if you can get hold of it, it's just an insane card. There was a reason it was banned. And absolutely glad to see it back. It's going to really help decks like this have a slightly higher ceiling. Just gives you tons more options for going into your plays. We have one copy of Tornado Dragon, just again because back row removal isn't so much in the main deck. We've included this extra option in the extra deck because it's just one of the best rank 4s and it just helps blow out your opponent's back row. We have Utopia Double, Utopia, and Utopia Lightning. I'll mention these all in the same sentence because obviously you're going to go for your Utopia Double plays. If you don't know how to do that, look it up online. It's really not very difficult. But essentially you're going to use this to search the double or nothing, negate your own attack after you overlay with this, and then attack for 10k damage. Now, if that isn't enough to kill your opponent, however, they're quite recon resources, right after that you can just go ahead and overlay it with this in main phase 2, and you've got a way to protect yourself so they can't crash into it the next turn without killing themselves. We have one copy of the Turia Beast again because it just gives you a good going first option against stuff like Striker. It's kind of an auto win. I wouldn't say it's a complete auto win, but against a lot of decks it just really gives them trouble, especially spell heavy ones. We have one copy of Omega. This card is still ridiculously strong, and of course it's going to put back stuff that's banished, which is just a really, really nice added benefit. Ripper cards from your opponent's hand during turn 1 is really nice too. And we have Scarlight. This is good for going into time or just punishing your opponent for not having the right kind of protection on board. If you can make this and blow up the entire field, and then you've got 3k beta to just go into them, which is just really, really crazy. And then we discuss the side deck options. So the side deck options are slightly messed up. This isn't like an actual sideboard, so please don't take it as that. This is just ideas of how you can try and tweak this deck to make it interesting for yourself. So we've got things like Lila Lightsworn. So she's really good against pendulums. So in pendulum-based formats, you want to kind of main 3 of these or have 3 sided, so you can side them in and just blow up their scales, which is just really, really nice. We have Rufioh, which is really good for non-target and removal. That's really, really cool. It came up loads of times when I was playing in the past. We've gone for a bit of a rock engine here, or an earth engine I should say. So Rock Spirit, Giant Rex, Gigantes, they're all level 4 monsters you can easily get on board, and they can be searched by Block Dragon. So this is taking hints from the BA deck that's doing the rounds at the moment, the Block Dragon BA, but this could easily be incorporated into this. We've got a ton of earth-based monsters. We've got Goblinberg, we've got Thousand Blades, we've got Hat-Tricker, we've got Glowup Bulb, and then if you included some of these in place of some of the other level 4s, you could definitely push for that kind of direction. Dotscape would just be free material. Of course, when it's banished, it summons itself again, so it's free link fodder. And of course, if you're running that, you could run 1 for 1 because then you'd have 2 targets and it makes it worth it. If you wanted for a more chaos-centric build, you can include these 2. I know they're only at 1, but they're still really, really strong. And by being at 1, you're less likely to mill one or the other. Hopefully, you see one in your opening hand and you can play them out before the other gets milled. Maybe a less strong option, but it's definitely a route that you could take. We've got LeVeon Ear in here. Again, you've got tons and tons of options, mostly lights, but you can incorporate more darks, particularly if you go down this route to go for a more chaos-centric build. And LeVeon Ear is incredibly strong. It's such good going first or second. Non-target and removal or ripping cards out your opponent's hand is just insane, or it's free body on board when it summons another. We've got one Balancer Lord, so if you do go down the route where you start banishing cards, this is a really, really strong option for just pinching stuff out your hand and making rank 4s that way. We've got Danger Mothman. You could use this and Chupacabra because you're just going to be able to dig deeper, get free level 4s on board. They're dark, so they do play into that chaos play if you do decide to go down that route. It just gives you multiple options, really, really strong like all Dangers are. And then for these 2 links, this is just more a case of if you have access to them, I would definitely recommend looking into including them. But also because you can just open up games, and it means you can drop the Utopia package and focus entirely on OTK with this instead. Or of course you go for Sayuja and just dig deeper, get extra rank 4s on board, and just push your opponent for game, or at least control the field well enough so they can't break through. And that's it for the deck profile, guys. Hopefully this has given you some ideas of how you could run it yourself. I would definitely recommend this as a starting point, but I wouldn't go out and buy all these cards. I would never recommend you do that with any of my decks, or anyone else, in fact, for that matter, on YouTube. It's all opinions, it's all personal experience, it's all anecdotal evidence of games that we've played or ideas that we have and that kind of thing. But definitely try this out. Definitely try it out with like the Rock engine or maybe a Chaos engine and see how you get on with it. It's just absolute tons of fun to play. It's really budget friendly, so most of these cards are available in like common now, with the exception of some of the extra deck monsters, but a lot of these are considered staples now, so you maybe have access to them already. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. I'm afraid that's all we have time for in this video. If by chance you haven't had enough of listening to me waffle at you through a video about a children's card game, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are on the screen, or if you're feeling really lazy, you can click the links in the description. While you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content too. It'll make me smile, I promise. And who could ask for more than that? Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.